Copy 724, right. Descend and maintain 2000.
Descend and maintain 2074.
Comment 504, descend and maintain 3000.
3000, comment 504.
Okay, in this video we're going to be continue covering the airspace. It is a long topic, and that's why it is taking a lot more videos compared to the other sections. So we're going to start with so we were talking about the Class Echo airspace. So what are the operating rules and pilot or the equipment requirements to operate within the Class Echo airspace? So in terms of the requirements, right? So basically no minimum pilot certification is required. So a student pilot is more than enough. No specific equipment requirement in the Class Echo airspace. So if you happen to have an airport where you are taking off and that is in Class Echo airspace, you can do the whole flight without any specific equipment requirement. And then no specific requirements for the arrival or through flight in Class Echo airspace. The next one is like when a Class Charlie or Class Delta surface area is not in effect continuously, maybe like the tower just operates part-time. What will happen to the surface area airspace when the tower closes? So maybe they are done with the operations at night. So what will happen? And we did kind of cover it. So both Class Delta and Charlie, if the ADC becomes non-functional at night, maybe, or part-time, so either it would change it to Class Echo airspace, right, or a combination of Class Echo and Class G, Class Golf airspace. So yeah. Okay, explain the purpose of Class Echo transition areas. So we did talk about Class Echo examples, that the Class Echo has some transition areas, right? Areas. So basically these transition areas, the Class Echo transition areas, they extend upward from like either sometimes it goes upward from 700 feet and sometimes 1200 feet, and we're talking about the above ground level, right? And what it means is like if you are flying below these ones, you are in uncontrolled airspace. So yeah, so they normally extend from there, right? And these transition areas are like basically if you are in the Class Delta airspace or Class Echo airspace and you are about to get into the like uncontrolled airspace, the areas in the middle are the Class Echo transition areas. They basically help separate the arriving and departing IFR traffic from the VFR aircraft operating in the vicinity. Okay, are you required to establish communications when a tower located within Class Echo airspace? So yes, if there is a tower and it is operating in the Class Echo airspace, unless otherwise authorized or required by ATC, no person may operate an aircraft to and from or through the air, or basically if it wants to land on the airport and the airport has the operational control tower, unless he makes two-way communications are maintained, he cannot operate in that scenario. So yes, you need if the ATC is there, you need the ATC communication with that. Okay, how is class Echo airspace depicted on the navigational chart? So in terms of the depiction of the class Echo airspaces, remember that again they are so what happens is again first of all they are present in the sectional charts, the tags, the terminal ones, and the IFR and route low altitude charts, they are available there. So remember that the lateral limit, like lateral and the vertical limits of the class Echo airspace, they actually up to but not including 18,000 feet. That is one thing. Just remember that up to but not including, because this is gonna become class Echo Alpha airspace. So the limit again, we did talk about it above the FL flight level, like the flight level 400. Uh, After that, it becomes again the Echo airspace. But normally, we are not going above that flight level. So above up to but not including 18,000 feet, that is the upper limit of that, right? And they are shown by the narrow bands of Vignet on the sectional charts. This is the color, and they are shown in the Vignet narrow bands. That's how they are depicted. Again, the controlled airspace floors of 700 AGL are defined by the magenta Vignet floors, other than 700 that about uncontrolled airspace are defined by the blue Magnet. Differing floors greater than 700 feet are annotated by the symbols and the number indicating the floor. So basically, if you have the floor, we know that uncontrolled is gonna be either up to 700, right? Up to 700 feet AGL, or the up to, it can go up to 1200. Normally it goes up to 1200, but if it is 700, what's gonna happen is, like, you will see that the color is gonna be magenta Vignet. Magenta Vignet color if it is just 700. If it is other than 700, what happens is, like, it is blue Vignet. That would indicate that it is other than 700 feet. It is starting from other than 700 feet, and sometime it is mentioned that in a number indicating that, okay, it is whether or not it is 1200, or there's a different number for that. Okay, how are class Echo surface extension areas depicted on the navigational charts? So remember that they are depicted by the, so now we are talking about the class Echo surface extensions. So these ones are depicted as magenta segmented lines. Okay, what is the definition of the class G or class or Golf Echo airspace? So class G or Golf, or basically otherwise known as the uncontrolled airspace, it is a portion of the airspace that has not been designated as Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, or Echo airspace. If you do not have an airspace described as the Gulf airspace, as one of these airspaces, you can consider it as uncontrolled airspace. Okay, are you required to establish communication with a tower located in a class G airspace? So if you have an ATC, if you have a tower inside the uncontrolled airspace, Are you required to make a communication? Yes. The answer is just like if if we have an airport, if we have a towered airport with the ATC services in the class Echo airspace, we were required to make the communications. We are also required to make the communications with the class if we have an airport inside the uncontrolled airspace. Okay, what are the vertical limits of class G airspace? So the vertical limits, so basically they start from the ground and continue up to the overlaying controlled airspace, right? So it's gonna be from the ground, right? Uh, from the ground to the overlaying echo airspace. Normally they are 700 feet. Sorry, 700 feet. Sometimes they go to 1200 feet. But let's say if we are in a place where we do not have an echo airspace for some reason, still the uncontrolled airspace cannot exceed 14,500 feet mean sea level. Just remember that very rarely, but in some cases, if we do not have a controlled airspace, it can still uncontrolled airspace can still not exceed to 14,500 feet. Okay, what is the minimum cloud clearance and visibility required when conducting flight operations in a traffic pattern at night in class Gulf airspace below 1200 feet AGL? So we are flying below 1200, right? We are in class Gulf airspace and we are flying at night, right? What are the visibility requirements? All right. So the visibility requirements are 3 statute miles, but not less. So it should be visibility can be less than 3 statute miles, but not less than 1 statute mile. So it's gonna be it's more than 1 statute miles. It can be below 3 statute miles. Okay, during the night hours. So an airplane may be operated clear of the clouds, just clear of the clouds, okay, and without 1/2 mile of the clouds in an airport traffic pattern within 1/2 mile of the runway. So if we have a runway here, right? So 1/2 mile of the if 1/2 mile of the runway, if there are no clouds, you are good to fly in the again. And we are talking about the uncontrolled airspace below 1200 feet. Yes, you can make the flights visibility if it is more than 1 statute miles. You are good to fly at night in an uncontrolled airspace and in an airport which is in the uncontrolled airspace. Okay, what is the main difference between class Golf airspace and the rest of the other ones like the Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Echo? So the main difference is the flight visibility and the cloud clearance. So they all have tougher visibility requirements compared to this one. As you have seen, 1 statute mile is enough, and 1.5 like 1.5 miles uh, of like clear of the cloud, you are good to fly in the uncontrolled airspace even at night. So basically uh, the main difference is the like the flight visibility requirements. Okay, what minimum flight visibility and clearance from clouds are required for VFR flight in the following situations? So if you are flying in class Charlie, class Delta, and Echo airspace, the minimum flight visibility, right? Again, we are talking about the VFR, and the clearance is like there are two things here. One thing is that if you are flying less than 10,000 feet, right? If you're flying less than 10,000 feet, the visibility is 3 statute miles, 500 feet below, and this is like the visibility. These are the clouds. 5,000 feet below, 1,000 feet above, and 2,000 feet horizontal, right? Clear of the clouds. If you are at or above 10,000 feet, right, then 5 statute miles visibility, uh, and all this becomes 1,000 feet above, 1,000 feet below, 1,000 feet below, 1,000 feet above, and 1 statute mile horizontal. Statute mile horizontal. This is for again class Charlie Delta Echo airspace. Okay, another one is class Golf airspace. So what is the class Golf airspace? So there are multiple steps here. First of all, if we have like normally this is gonna be the case where we are below 1200 feet, right? MSL, mean sea level. Then we have two categories. Is it day or is it night? Inside the day, it is 1 statute miles and clear of the cloud. Don't go inside the cloud. You're not, maybe they are next to you, but you are clear of the clouds. You are good to fly. Whereas the night, 3 statute miles, again 500 feet below, 1,000 feet above, 2,000 feet horizontal. And this is the night. Clear of clouds. But let's say we are in a situation where we are in an uncontrolled airspace, but we are above 1200 feet. Right, again 1200 feet, but less than 10,000 feet. So there's another category that we are 1200 feet to 10,000 feet. In this one, the day is gonna become 1 statute mile, whatever we so it's gonna be 1 statute mile, and the clearance is gonna be 500 below, 1000 above, and 2000 horizontal. At night, we're gonna have 3 statute miles, 500 below, 1000 above, 2000 horizontal. And the last one is, what if we are like are flying in the uncontrolled airspace and it is even more than 10,000 feet above? So then the visibility for both day and night becomes 5 statute miles and 1,000 feet below, 1,000 feet above, and 1 statute mile horizontal. Those are the different visibility requirements. Okay, what are the basic VFR weather minimums required for operation of an airport into class different airspaces like Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo airspace? So basic weather minimums, right? Weather minimums. So what happens is like you need to have a 1,000-foot ceiling, clear of the cloud, right? And 3 miles visibility, right? Uh, so basically that would be the minimum VFR weather minimums required. Okay, if VFR flight minimums cannot be maintained, can a VFR flight be made into class Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Echo airspace? The answer is for the regular VFR, right? The answer is no. But one exception can be granted, known as special VFR. Uh, and you need to obtain the special VFR. If you're flying VFR, you need to get the special VFR clearance from these airports in order to operate there. Then the special VFR clearance is always available to pilots to all classes of airspace or not. So the special SVFR, uh, so the VFR pilot may request and for that, and most class Delta and Echo airspace areas are gonna they have it. You can get it, and some class Bravo and Charlie surface area traffic permitting the special VFR. So the answer is no, not all of them has it. Even on the sectional charts you will see, especially in the Bravo airspace, they may say that no VFR, meaning you cannot get a special VFR clearance. Okay, if it becomes apparent there are special VFR clearance will be necessary, what facility should the pilot contact in order to obtain one? So the facility to get the SVFR is the control tower, and you're gonna be talking to that. But like if you're in the class Echo airspace, the clearance may be obtained from the nearest tower or even the FSS or even the center, the sometimes Boston Center or like there are big centers they which can be accessed. Uh, okay. Uh, can a special VFR clearance be obtained into or out of the like the same airports like the Bravo, Charlie, Delta, or Echo airspace at night? So normally special VFR operations by these like the single engine fixed wing aircraft, they are prohibited between sunset and sunrise unless the pilot is instrument reared and the aircraft is equipped with the IFR flight. Only then they can do that. uh, but normally uh, you will not get the special VFR permission at night. Okay, what is a prohibited area? So remember that these areas contain certain airspace of defined dimensions identified by an area on the surface on the earth within which the flight of aircraft is prohibited. So you can't get any clearance, you can't fly over it. uh, they are of the areas of security nature and national welfare. You just cannot enter there. These are prohibited areas. What about the restricted areas? So again, they contain the airspace identified by the area on the surface of the earth within which the flight of aircraft, while not wholly prohibited, is subject to restrictions. So these areas denote the existence of unusual or often invisible hazards to the aircraft, such as maybe there is artillery firing going on, or aerial gunneries being practiced, or guided missiles are being fired. So these are known as the restricted areas. And the last thing I wanted to cover in this video was Under what conditions, if any, may pilot enter restricted or prohibited areas? Restricted or prohibited areas. So remember that no person may operate an aircraft within the restricted areas, contrary to the restrictions imposed, or within the prohibited area, unless that person has the permission of the using or controlling agency. So normally no operations are permitted within the prohibited area. Just remember that. That's all I wanted to cover. Thanks for watching.